this is the third part of the Self-Sabotage series that I've been doing, all about self-sabotage. So if you have not seen the first two, I suggest that you go back and have a look at the first two videos in this series, and then you can have a watch at those and you've got more of an idea of what's happening, because this is the third part. So I asked people to do some exercises, and I'm going to share with you how to do something with those exercises and how you can help yourself with your self-sabotage by doing that. So I am going to tell you, on my journey, I identified 3 real saboteurs for my weight loss. They weren't all at the same time. They came up as I went through my journey. But fortunately, because I had worked on this stuff, I knew how to deal with them. And, you know, one of them I think I probably shared with you within this, you know, live series. And one of them I haven't. I may have touched on it, but I've not shared it really properly with you. I have got some notes tonight because I want to make sure that I tell you everything. But, you know, obesity, it takes work. It's a disease that never goes away, and we've got to be vigilant and work if we want to be free from it. And that's why the surgery on its own just isn't enough, because obesity is a disease of the mind and not of the stomach. So when you have the surgery, you get this stop button and you go, oh, right, okay, that's great for the first, you know, I don't know, 12 months, 18 months, 2 years. You can more or less eat small portions of anything and the weight will fall off. But because obesity is a disease of the mind, it's working in the background the whole time. And it's always trying to keep us safe and get us back to the place that we were previously. As in, it wants us to, it's worked out that food is a way of comforting us, making us feel at ease, getting rid of pain. And it will keep trying to get rid of that pain with the easiest way it knows how, which is using food. It doesn't have the ability to be able to play the tape forward and realise that actually the food is what is now causing our pain, because we have got massive consequences that are causing us even more pain than there was to begin with. So it's a really, really difficult thing to manage. So that's why this disease is partly about not feeding the addiction, if you like, trying to stay away from our trigger foods that will feed our addiction so that we crave more and more. But it's also got a psychological component in that there's this worrying mental obsession that goes, just have one biscuit, it won't matter. You know, you deserve it. It's a day with a Y in it. You deserve it because it's been raining. You deserve it because it's sunny. You know, it has this psychological thing. You will know what this means, this worrying mental obsession that goes over and over and over. It'll be okay, just have that one. Then it's not, and I feel guilty, and tomorrow I'm going to start again, etc., etc., etc. And it also has this spiritual component, and that is the bit that makes you feel awful. Oh my God, I feel terrible about myself, my self-esteem. I feel like I'm not worthy, that I don't deserve this, and that's the bit that everybody thinks is going to go away and it'll all be sorted when we lose the weight. And many, many people find that it isn't. It's like we lose the weight, we think all our lives going to change. It's like, oh shit, I've lost all the weight. I feel a bit better, of course I do, because I can do things that I couldn't do before. I can exercise, I can walk further, I can wear nicer clothes. But it's all external stuff, because we've not healed what's going on spiritually inside us. That feeling of lack of, that feeling of unworthiness. If any of you can relate to this, just let me know, will you? You know, give me a thumbs up, or a thumbs up, or a wave, or a heart, or anything. If you can relate to that feeling of still not feeling great about yourself inside. By the way, just let me know if you're watching live, pop a live on there, hashtag live. If you're watching on replay, can you put hashtag replay? And if you're a newbie, let me know that you're a newbie. So that I'm talking about this spiritual hole in the soul that inside is still feels like it's just, you know, why am I here? I thought that the weight was the problem. I thought that once I lost all the weight, everything would be all right, but I still don't feel good about myself. I still don't even like the way I look, etc., etc. That is the spiritual component of this disease. So it's like a threefold disease. We've got this obsession with food, which is a physical thing. And we think by fixing that, okay, if I eat the right things, if I don't eat the wrong things, that's going to sort it all out. But it doesn't, because the willpower doesn't last forever. And it still doesn't change that worrying psychological, oh my God, why did I eat that? Should I eat that? How many calories are in this? It'll be okay if you just have one. If you just have one, it's your birthday, or it's not your birthday, or all of that. That's the, if you like, the psychological, the brain stuff. And then the spiritual stuff is the stuff that, oh, well, I still don't feel really that brilliant because I don't really love myself from the inside and everything's from the outside. So can you see how, yes, it's great to lose the weight for our health and our everything else, and it does make a difference. It gives us the spur, if you like. But it's really important to heal this stuff inside, because if you don't, then you're going to start looking to go back to the food again. Because you're going to want to fix yourself and feel good about yourself, and you're going to sabotage everything that you've done and end up putting the weight back on if you're not really vigilant. And even if you don't, you're going to feel miserable because you've not actually made yourself feel any better. It's all coming from outside. So it needs to come from the inside. And when you fix the inside, the food stuff's dead easy. It really is. Because you feel worthy of it. You feel that you deserve it. And you feel that it's important. And it's not being sabotaged by anything. Because you're the number one priority. You and your health are the number one priority. Whereas when it's trying to fix it from the outside in, it never works that way. So this is why this stuff is really important. Okay, so I'm going to tell you about my sabotage today, because it's really important that you understand that I've been through all of the things that you guys are going through. Come out the other side so that you can trust that I can help you. But like I've said, sabotage is only a part of this, because actually, it's a really good thing. It's your brain doing everything it can to keep you safe and stop putting you in danger. So every time you go on a diet and then stop, if you beat yourself up or feel guilty, you're teaching your subconscious mind that dieting is dangerous and it makes you feel bad. So each time, it resists the diet and stops you as quickly as possible. So getting to the root cause of the sabotage isn't always easy, and often it does need the help of a professional. Particularly one who works with food sabotage. There's a couple of my coaching clients on here today, and I don't know whether they would want to share with you in here, but you know, they have really benefited from working with me, even though they may have had coaching or counselling or other things before, working on the actual food sabotage stuff. So let me tell you about my story. I'm a bit nervous about sharing this with you, but there you go. What I shared last week, and if you saw that was, I'll let you look at that. I'll let you go back and have a look at that one, because I don't really want to have to redo that. But the second one was, so that was about my husband and realising that I actually was keeping my weight. So I'm going to very briefly, you can watch that. Because after I got married, I realised that he'd stopped obsessing over me, and he'd gone that what a lot of men do and gone, got you now, don't need to make so much effort. And I saw that as being really painful. It was really painful because he wasn't like constantly all over me like a rash anymore. And as the years went on, I found that really hard. And it was like my weight was a protection, because I could understand if he didn't love me because of the weight. Well, he doesn't love me because he doesn't see that as being, you know, it's because I'm fat. Whereas if I lost the weight and he still wasn't all over me like a rash, and he still wasn't paying me loads of attention, then that would be me, the actual me inside that maybe he was rejecting. And you know what? We talk about core wounds in the emotional eating, and your core wound is the one thing that stands in your way of you putting yourself out there to do your best. And it's like your core wound is the thing that you're scared of the most. And often we'll find that our self-sabotage feeds into that core wound. It's like a double bind. So my core wound is rejection and abandonment. I shared in series 1, and I talk about it quite a lot, that my father committed suicide when I was 12. My core wound is rejection and abandonment. I was terrified of being rejected again. So I couldn't cope with me being rejected. I could cope just about with somebody rejecting me because I was fat. However, what I was doing was setting myself up for that rejection, because I was making myself fat, which was more likely to be rejected. I was making myself miserable because I wasn't comfortable being so overweight. And so therefore, because of all those things, I was much more likely to be rejected anyhow. So self-sabotage is a very strange thing. We often find that in our sabotage, we're actually enabling ourselves to be the one thing we're terrified of. And uncovering it and seeing its truth is the one way of stopping it in its tracks. Then we can work on the core wounds and the emotional eating, because we've got rid of the sabotage. Because if the sabotage is really strong, we can't work on those core wounds because something's getting in the way. So that's why I like to work on this as one of the first things. The second time I had the self-sabotage was about a year into my surgery, into my journey. And I realised I'd gone to the doctors and I was 70 kilo. And I went back to see my daughter, who has been probably the most supportive person on this journey. And I walked in, she'd not long had a baby, so she was feeling a bit vulnerable about herself. And I walked in and said, oh, guess what? I was 70 kilos. And to me, that was a really big one. And she just went, you don't need to rub it in, Mum, Should you weigh less than I do now? And it was like, holy shit. She was really hurt. I could see it in her. And for somebody who'd been so supportive and for somebody I love so much, that was a real thing for me. I'm hurting my daughter. She's jealous. I can't do that. I can't hurt her. That is just not, I don't do that. I don't hurt people I love. And even though I explained to her, and she said afterwards, I'm really sorry, Mum. And I told her about this the other day, and she was like, I am so sorry, Mum. I would never have meant to sabotage your weight loss journey, your efforts. I just felt really shit about myself at the time. And I just felt threatened in that moment. But I put on about half a stone within 6 weeks of having that conversation with her. And I hadn't really realised how sabotaging it was until I looked at it and thought, why am I gaining weight? Why am I craving biscuits and chocolate? Why is that coming back in? What's going on here? And when I, using the tools that I knew, looked back at when it started, I did a little bit of what I call a timeline that I do. And I thought, it happened then. And I realised that it was because I was too frightened to hurt her. And then I realised that actually I would hurt her more. Again, what I was fearful of. I'm going to hurt her more by being overweight, dying early, being miserable. She doesn't want that. So I could pull it back. So that was one of those. That's that what will others think of me? Because there's four normally. One of them is some sort of sexual component. One of them is some sort of what will other people think of me. And then the other three that I always say is, for the other two is that I don't feel worthy, or what am I going to be without this food? And then the very last one is the love is in the food, but that is attached to cravings, which I'm going to talk about in another part of the series. So Melinda's saying almost the exact same thing happened to me. Okay, very interesting, Melinda. We need to bring that to coaching. Yeah, okay, we'll talk about that. I wasn't aware of these sabotages. And then the last one was really recently. It was when I was just starting to go live. Starting to change my offerings to the world, because I'm starting to do an online program, which means that more people can access my weight, this stuff, by working with me, either partly on one-to-one, but also some group coaching and online stuff that people can go through in their own time, which means that more people can access my coaching, because I can't do too many one-to-one coachings because just not enough hours in the day. There has been times when people have asked me and I can't fit them in. So I want to make this program more accessible to more people. But it was shocking. I just couldn't do it. I was so scared. of rejection and abandonment and fear of being visible, getting out there. What will people think of me? What if people criticize what I'm doing? And it's a statistics game. The more people see it, the more people will love it. The more people that see it, the more people will hate it. That is just life. Nobody's going to love everything you do. That's just the way things are. But the fear of being rejected and criticized was stopping me from doing this. And that fear came out in that it was like I started to put weight on again. It was like, well, if you get big, you can't do that, because then how can you do that? Because you can't go out there and be live and show everybody what you've got to offer, because they're not going to trust you. And again, in a really short period of time, I put about 0.5 stone on in weight, because it was my subconscious saying, keep me safe. You're not going to go out there. You won't go out there if you put the weight on, if you're eating, because how can you do that when you're helping other people and you're not doing it yourself? It is crazy how this stuff works. Again, double bind, actually creating my worst fear, because my worst fear is rejection. If I'm not providing this service to the world, that's the biggest rejection. Nobody's going to want my services. Nobody's going to want me to help them. This is my life passion. It's what I absolutely know I was put on this earth to do. It is completely disrespectful to you, to me, to the universe, to source, to whatever, for me not to shine my light out in the world and let you guys know what I know and what I've learned and how I've got through this. And for a very small number of people that just don't get it, don't understand it, that might criticize it, I was going to stop doing that and helping you guys. So it's important I share that with you. It's what self-sabotage gives us, the opposite of what we really want. But it doesn't feel like that in the moment. And it will throw up all sorts of excuses and reasons for you not to do things. Reasons for you not to join the TV tonight, the Mindset TV, because Amanda might ask me to do something that, I'm not comfortable doing, because all sorts of things. And it's being vigilant and bringing them and doing it anyhow. Feel the fear and do it anyway. Because ultimately, if we don't, we're going to end up on the road back to where we were when we started. And that is absolutely mind-bogglingly crazy. So, okay. So, if I can overcome these struggles with the knowledge and exercises I've learned along the way, then I'm damn sure you guys can too. Yeah, I'm absolutely sure of that. And I've got a duty to use this struggle to help you. I'm so passionate about educating you about the importance of this alongside the surgery. So last week, I asked you to do a list of things, or a few weeks ago now, that you wanted from the weight loss. So it was like, what do I want to get out of this weight loss? What are the main important things that I'm going to feel or do? And then I asked you to really think about what things you were scared of happening. And I asked you to rate them in intensity of feeling on a scale of 1 to 10. On the left-hand side, I asked you, what did you really want? And on the right-hand side, I asked you to say what you were fearful of. Now, my ones were, I said that on the left side, I really wanted to wear nice clothes. That was really important to me, because I felt like I was always in black, always in baggy pants. So that was about an 8 in intensity. That was really important. I wanted to feel sexy. Now, funnily enough, that wasn't a very high one on mine, because I was a bit scared that if I felt sexy and I walked sexy and I acted sexy, that I'd going to get some unwanted attention. And I wasn't really sure about what I would do with that. That was sort of like, it was one of those push me, pull me. I want it, I don't want it. I want it, I don't want it. I wanted to feel free. That was a number 10. Absolute number 10. I just wanted to feel free from that mental chatter that was going on in my brain, that what I call washing machine brain on fast spin, going over and over in my brain every single day. I wanted to feel confident in my abilities, because it was affecting not just my weight, but every part of my life. I didn't feel confident at work. I was teaching at the time. I didn't feel confident getting up on it, public speaking. I used to do public speaking. I felt that was really getting in my way. I also wanted to be visible, but that was a bit of a double-edged sword as well. I wanted people to see me because I felt that people didn't listen to what I had to say, that I was actually not important. I don't know whether anybody else feels this, that when you're big, you're not important. People don't listen. They go, oh, yeah, and then carry on to the next person. I just didn't feel visible. It's mad, isn't it, that we're huge, but so invisible and unimportant, I suppose is the word. And I wanted to be more successful. So I'd got visible as number 4, successful as number 7, confident at 8 in intensity, feel free as 10. And then I've got here that I wanted to be me again. I wanted to know who I was and actually feel comfortable being who I was, rather than trying to be what I thought everybody else wanted to be. I was such a people pleaser. That was really important. And I felt that somehow losing the weight would help me to begin to understand that. But I also knew I had to work on the psychological side and the mental side as well. Yeah, so just put, that's exactly the way I felt, invisible. Yeah, Isabella, me too, totally invisible. But on the other side, when I really dug deep, I felt, okay, it was all right to have the other clothes, and I was really excited about that, but I didn't want to spend too much. I didn't want to get into too much debt. So that was an intensity of a 4. I wanted to feel sexy, but I didn't want unwanted attention. So that was an 8. So that was higher than the left column. I was scared of having no excuses. That was a number 8. You know, I think I'd used my weight for excuses not to go out, not to do exercise, not to do things, not to stand up and just like be part of life. I was a bit lazy and I liked sitting on the settee. Somebody might want extra of me. They might expect me to do more. That was an 8. If I was invisible, again, there's no expectations of me. Nobody's going to ask me to do anything. They'll ask me to, yeah, Amanda, you go out and do that latest report. Amanda, you go out and do that, represent the school, because you can stand on stage. Nobody ever asked me to do that because I know it, because I was so big and I wasn't really the type of image that the school wanted to portray to the outside world. But they might expect more of me. So although on one hand I wanted them to, on the other hand I didn't, because that meant extra work and account responsibility. And success means that I'm going to be more visible. So again, and visible means more criticism. So what I was saying before about stepping up for the business, if I'm visible, more people are going to criticize me. So I can't hide behind that. That was a 10. That was really, really big one of me. I didn't want to be criticized. And being fat is an excuse for rejection. So what if it's the real me, which is what I'd said about my husband. So people are rejecting me. It's okay. Well, they don't really want me to be part of their friendship group because I'm fat. I can understand that. They don't really want me to go to that party because they think, well, I'm fat and I'm not going to dance and I'm not going to get involved. But if I lose the weight and they still don't invite me, then that's me. I can't handle that. I really can't handle that. And the other one was the jealousy from others, like my daughter. I didn't want to make other people jealous. I want people to be comfortable around me, and I certainly don't want to incite jealousy in other people. Okay, so I worked out that on one side, on the left side, my intensity of things that I wanted to going forward was a number 36. On the right-hand side, the intensity of things of stopping me from going forward was 48. Now, that is a change, 12% stronger in feelings intensity of staying where I am rather than moving forward. That I ain't got a cat in hell's chance of ever moving forward long term if that is what's happening. Because deep down inside, my fear of change is far much greater than my desire to change. And if my fear of change is far greater, then I'm always going to be looking for a way to keep myself in that comfort zone. Does that make sense to anybody? Please let me know if that makes sense. Because then I know that you're understanding what I'm saying. Heart, thumbs up, anything. just to let me know that you get this. I'll have a drink while I'm waiting. I can't see any hearts or thumbs up. Yes, good, Lynn. Thank you, darling. Thank you. So, yeah, Lynn's got this. It makes sense to you. Anybody else? Sandra, brilliant. Thank you. Okay, just give me some hearts, thumbs up. Just pops at the side. That'd be lovely. Okay, so what do we do about that? Okay, so our fears are nearly always learnt behaviour. Babies are born with only two fears: fear of loud noises and the fear of falling. The rest of our fears are learnt behaviour. That's why we all have different fears than each other, because we've learnt them through our experiences in the world, what our parents told us, what our teachers told us, what our colleagues, our peers told us, our experiences that happened to us. Those are what create our fears, okay? And our fears are always, only, ever boil down to two things. Number one, the fear of losing what we already have. So, dying, what we've already got, losing our life. Rejection, what we've already got, losing our home, losing our job. Fear of losing what we already have. Or fear of not getting what we think we should have. So respect, promotion, expectations of what other people we think we should get from other people. So you don't do this for me, but you should. That's when we say, but you should, but I should have. So whilst all of our fears are grounded in the truth somewhere, we often exaggerate them in our brain. So for example, it's like that gremlin. You've seen the film Gremlins? Stamping up and down and increasing the fear until they can be almost debilitate us. So if you think of that film, the gremlin didn't start off as a gremlin. It started off that really lovely fluffy mogwai that did that singing. It was a lovely film. I loved that little mogwai that did that, and he was so cute. And it's a nice fluffy cute creature that helps to keep you safe and helps you. So in early life, your mogwai would help you by giving you this innate ability to tune into your instinctual self and know that something's not for your best purpose. Children are really good at this. No, I'm not doing that because I don't want to do that, because you're going to make me do that and I might fall. Or I'm not going to do that because I'm going to get in trouble. Or it's like an innate ability to stick up for ourselves. And it's not a massive fear, but it's just like a little internal warning that we listen to. But throughout life, we've got loads of experiences that can increase the fear of a certain thing. And that little mugwai starts to change, and it gets full of fear, and it turns into a horrible gremlin that goes on and sits on your shoulder and goes on in your ear and says, don't do that. Because if you do that, this will happen. And they won't like you. And this won't happen. And they won't like you. And they won't accept you. And then you will have to do this, and you don't want to do this. And don't go out because they're all going to laugh at you. And they're all going to tell you you're fat. And nobody likes you. Blah, 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 blah. And it stops you in your tracks, and it debilitates you. And it stops living your best life. But actually, it's rooted in protection. Because it doesn't want you to get hurt. So eventually what it does is it debilitates you so much that the only option you've really got is to stay in, sit on the sofa, eat, and you're going to feel better. And food becomes your best friend. Now that's a very extreme version, but you see on the television, My Fat Life, these people that end up in bed, absolutely huge, that can't get out of bed. That's the disease of obesity. It's getting them isolated with nothing else but the food. Very extreme. And I'm not saying that's going to happen to you guys, but can you see how debilitating it is? So you need to look at those fears and test them for the truth, because they've got out of all proportion. And most of those fears are stopping you from living our very best life. So we're going to test them for the truth, because basically fear is a big fat liar. So what I want is for you to have a look at your list, and if you haven't got it now, take it or do it, and test your fears for your highest intensity fears. Test them for the truth and say, what evidence do you have that this is really true? And if it is it 100% true all of the time? What percentage is it true? Is it something that might be true when you were younger, but it isn't now? And does it really serve your life now to hold on to that fear? So basically, we're going to use the truth to weaken that limiting belief or that fear. And then notice how it feels to know the truth about it. Identify an alternative belief that's based on that truth. And then write that down and make it an affirmation. Say the new belief every day, at least 3 times for a week, and repeat that belief and develop a new pattern. And then I want you to do this with all of your fears and come back in a week's time and rescore them. And if you get the right hand column down to be less intensity than the left hand column, then you're on the road to freedom from fear and from the bondage of food, and you can work on your emotional eating, because then it's just associations, looking at that core belief and that emotional mastery that we talked about. So, but these exercises take effort. Watching this video is not going to be enough. I'm educating you with this video, but you have to put the work in yourself. So if you're struggling, reach out, because I can help you by PM to some extent, but really you need some support with the coaching. So if you're interested, let me know, okay? So if I have a look at my big belief, okay, let's have a look at some of mine. So I had that invisible means that I'm going to have there's no expectations put on me. Success means more visibility. So let's have a look at that. So if I believe that success means more visibility, and that's a fear, and that's going to stop me from living my best life, what evidence have I got that that's true? Well, actually, I don't have any evidence, because the evidence that I see that when people are more visible, they're more successful. The people that stand up on stage and do more and say more tend to be more successful. Your Richard Bransons of the world, your Tony Robbins of the world, your Deepak Chopras of the world. Even when they're spiritual, they're more successful. Have I ever got any evidence that being more visible makes people less successful? Actually, no. I don't have any evidence of that. That's just my mugwai, my gremlin saying to me, Amanda, if you put yourself out there, people are going to criticise you, you're going to fail. But actually, if I don't put myself out there, I've got far more chance of failing. In fact, I'm absolutely destined to failure. Because if I don't make myself more visible, people aren't going to know about me. Therefore, I am going to fail. So it's just crazy. And then, was that something that was true when I was younger? Well, actually, yes, it was. And I know where that came back to was on a holiday in a Butlins holiday camp one year, when my mum said, go and sing a song, Amanda, sing a song. Why don't you sing a song? And I got up on stage because I was really shy and I couldn't think of anything else to sing other than Bar Bar Black Sheep. And I did have a really good voice when I was younger. And it wasn't that I wasn't successful, but I felt unsuccessful, because I'd only done Bar Bar Black Sheep. But in everybody else's eyes I was. Oh, that lovely little girl. She was only 6. Look at her, Bar Bar Black Sheep. Bless her. Wasn't she lovely? They thought I was great. But I didn't, because I didn't feel that I'd put my best foot forward. Who's in charge of that? Me. There's only me that can be in charge of that. So, yes, it was true when I was younger that I didn't feel successful. So what do? Go out there and do it again. And I'm more chance of being successful. So, holding on to that fear now, does that help me to serve my very best life? Bloody hell, no, it doesn't. So if you can see that fear that I had, visibility means more success, I'm going to be more likely to be rejected, was a 10 in intensity. An absolute 10 in intensity. Whereas being more successful was only a 7 in intensity. intensity. When I do that, you know, what I call, let's check my fears for reality. How much am I scared of that now? Actually, no, I'm actually pumped. I'm like, sod this. You know, I'm getting out there. I'm going to do this. And if there are some people that criticize me, well, so what? So be it. That's just a numbers game. That's what visibility does. I am not going to be everybody's cup of tea. Not everybody's going to understand this. Not everybody's going to get the message I've got. That's fine. That's just numbers. So I'm going to, you know, hammer through that fear. I'm not going to put the weight on. I'm not going to self-sabotage, because not only for me, but for you guys, I've got an absolute, like, if you like, I've got to do this. It's respectful to you to tell the world what I know, how I have got well, and how I have learnt to manage my saboteurs, to manage my emotional eating most of the time, because I'm not perfect, and obesity is an illness that will always be with me. That Tamagotchi is always going to be on my shoulder, but I've got ways of getting rid of it and going, get off. Don't want you anymore. I don't need you. Go away. No, you're trying to keep me safe, but I don't want you. So it's, you know, I've got to do that. I've got to become visible. So that fear now is, in fact, it doesn't exist. It really doesn't, because every time I sort of start to feel it, I think, you know what, I'm absolutely not going to be successful if I don't do it. So there you go. So it's going through each of those on that right hand side. One of them is also like, what am I going to do, or what am I going to be if I don't have my food? That's a really big one a lot of people have. How am I going to feel? I'm so used to sitting on the sofa and eating chocolate every night. You know, how am I going to feel? What am I going to... I'm not going to be me. I'm not going to be the same. So, you know, test that let's go through one of that. So is that 100% true? Are you going to be a different person without eating chocolate every night? Inside? No. Ain't going to change. That core human being in here is never going to be changed by eating chocolate or not eating chocolate. It just isn't. Are you going to feel different? Hell yes. Because you're used to fixing your feelings with that chocolate. So you're going to feel a bit uncomfortable. You're going to feel a bit at a loss. You're going to feel like you have done when you've done that previously. And those feelings, if you're not used to managing your feelings, that emotional management, you know, that emotional mastery that I told you about, those everyday feelings, then eventually it gets a bit intense and you're going to go, oh God, I'm going to go and have to eat something. But when you learn how to manage those emotions and sit with them and go, they're not going to kill me, it's just a feeling. And it will go. It never lasts more than 3 minutes. It will go. Do something else. Just read a book. Go and do a bit of crocheting. You know, ring a friend. By the time I've had the phone call, that will have gone. So it's not true that eating chocolate, that you are going to be a different person. It's not even 1% true. It never was, and it never will. It's just a feeling. So it's like, and I will find other things to do, and I'm not going to die. And I am going to be okay without that food of choice. I will find other foods that will nourish me, that will make me feel good, that I'm not going to feel guilty about every time I eat them. So that will switch that washing machine brain off. So I can see that you need to test these sabotage, but what you need to do first is to identify them. And that is the tough bit. That's the bit that's difficult, because we don't always know what our own saboteurs are. And that's why working with a professional is really important, because without seeing the saboteurs, then you can't work on the emotional eating. You can't work on feelings, sitting with your feelings. You can't work on what your core beliefs are and turning those round. You can't work on the inner peace inside, because part of that inner peace has been eroded by that. You know, all of that is really difficult without identifying what is getting in your way. So that's me for tonight, guys. If any of you really want to, or I'd love you to, do that exercise. On the left, what am I looking forward to, or what do I love about being, where I am with the weight, if you're in your journey where you've lost the weight, but what do I think might be standing in my way whenever I'm eating things that maybe I don't want? Is there anything that's standing in my way? Thinking about those 5 sabotage things that I did talk about, which were, number 1, unwanted sexual attention in any way, shape or form. Very big one, that. Number 2, and on my program I have got an expert in that who's going to help support my patients through that unwanted sexual attention. She's an absolute expert. That's her field of expertise. So it's an interesting one. She's going to be one of our guest speakers. Number 2, what is what will other people think about me? That exercise that I said about standing in a room with everybody watching you. Who's happy? Who's sad? Who are you going to have to talk to? Number 3, what was the third one? I don't feel, how am I going to be? What am I going to look like? What's life going to be like without it? On my birthday, it's just a big fat lie. Nothing changes. You still have a birthday. You still have fun. Number 4 is, I'm not worthy. I don't deserve this. And that is something that we will work on in another part of this program. And number 5 is, love is in the food. And again, that's another part of things that I work on in the program and we'll touch on in this video series. So there's loads of stuff that, gets in the way. So, and I could talk to you all year, but we've been going now for about 45 minutes, which is way long enough. Yeah, you're probably sick of hearing me. So lovely to hear you. Hope you got some benefit from this. I'd love to have some feedback, guys, on these videos when you've finished. I rarely do get feedback in the comments of whether you found them useful, interesting, not anything that you'd like me to talk about, anything that you're struggling with, that you need some help with. Contact me. If you don't want to put it on the video, PM me, let me know. The other thing is, the Bariatric Success Lounge is open now. We've got over 400 members in less than 2 weeks. I will put it in the comments where you can go for that. So that is a really great source of support for you. It's all about mindset, strategy, spirituality, emotional stuff to help you on your journey, because there doesn't seem to be any other groups that are about that. It's not about diet and exercise. It's not about what you should eat, what types of surgery, that type of thing. I'm trying to keep this one different because all of the others seem to be about that. This is about mindset stuff. So there's loads of stuff that goes on there during the week. We have Tips and Tricks Tuesday, where we think of a tip that you can do each week to get you on track. We've got Mindset Monday, where we think of something about mindset. Spiritual Sunday. I can't remember what's on Wednesday, Thursday and Friday. I can't remember now, but there are, Feel You Fear Friday. Lots and lots of things that we do each week to help you, and I help you on there. So you can get loads of free stuff as well. But if you're interested in taking up some coaching with me, let me know. And I'm going to be releasing some stuff over to you the next few weeks, some quite exciting new developments. So take care, everybody. Lovely to see you all. Lots of really nice, friendly faces today, although I can't see your faces. I'm going to send you a quick wave. If you're there, wave to you, Karen. Wave to you, Michelle. Tanya, you're there. Give you a quick wave. I hope this is working. James, lovely to see you. Oh, I can't do you all. Debbie, are you there? Eilish, lovely to see you, darling. Louise, great to see you as well. I think I'll perhaps do this when I've finished. So have a lovely evening, everybody. I am so glad that you joined me. I felt... hope that you got something from tonight. If you did, let me know. If you didn't, let me know. And if there's anything that you'd like me to cover that you're struggling with, again, let me know. Lovely. Okay then, guys, I'm going. Bye-bye. Take care. Have a lovely, lovely evening.